Krishna Krishna Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Ayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamstam Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharinam Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, today we're studying a very famous verse from 4th chapter. This verse, Evaṁ paramparā-prāptam imaṁ rājarṣayo viduḥ sakale neha mahata yoga dashta paran-tapa. So, we said knowledge is critical for us to make success in anything. We need knowledge. If we think we've spent most of our life acquiring knowledge, how many years we spent in school, on the job, learning about this, that, or the other. We learn different things. We're always acquiring knowledge. But this transcendental knowledge is the knowledge which, when we obtain, we can obtain and achieve everything else. With that, there's nothing missing. It is complete. We can acquire all the material knowledge in the world, and if you add it all up, it will result in birth, death, old age, disease. Adhyatmika, adhibhautika, adhidaivika. We may fool ourselves into thinking, no, it'll give me some power, some status, some fame. If I knew, what tomorrow's lottery numbers were going to be, I would have some wealth and then I could really enjoy. Just ask those who've experienced such joy. It doesn't exist. But this transcendental knowledge, it is the key, has the power to bring about perfection of life. So, we know one thing, there's no shortage of knowledge out there. You ask 100 people about opinion on anything, you'll get at least 100 opinions. Many people have multiple opinions. Because for the most part, nobody knows really anything. If we really want to analyze all these scientific laws, we're trying to discover, gravity, and what is the force of gravity. But we can't answer one question. Where does it come from? What is its source? We can speculate. But that means we really don't know anything. We can speculate about this universe. Where is this planet Earth in relation to the universe? What is the sun? Science says that every star is a sun. Shastra says there's only one sun in the universe. Who is right? That we can question. But with understanding this verse, we'll know who is right and who is speculating. Guessing. A guess means sometimes you might be right and sometimes you might be wrong. So, in the matter of life, in the journey of our soul, we don't want to take any chances. Right? Will you enter a plane where the pilot might know how to fly or might not know how to fly? Would you take that chance? You want absolute conviction, right? You don't want any doubt. So how to find absolutely perfect knowledge? Does it exist? Or is just one theory on top of another? Okay? Or is this absolute knowledge? So that's what we have to find out. So let's read this verse.
Evaṁ paramparā-prāptam imaṁ rājarṣayo viduḥ sa kalena mahata yoga nasta paran-tapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost.
Purport?
Purport. It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretation according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was deducted by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at present moment also, there are so many editions of Gita, but most all of them are not according to the authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of the Lord Krishna, although they make a good business of the words of Sri Krishna. The spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by parampara, the disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill the great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculation, it is simply a waste of time.
Prabhupada, as usual, ends his purport with a bang. Makes very nice. So, let's see this parampara. What is the source of this knowledge, first of all? Where is this Bhagavad Gita coming from? From Krishna. So how does it come to us?
Succession.
And what is the meaning of disciplic succession?
Just to carry the same message without adding anything. And whatever taught by Krishna, and without broken succession.
Okay, so without breaking that succession, and being taught by Krishna. So the question becomes, why do we have to go to disciplic succession for knowledge?
We not add anything. It is exactly as it is.
Yes, that's disciplic succession, but why do we have to go to such disciplic succession for knowledge?
Yes, they have seen the truth.
They have seen the truth, but what about us? I have intelligence, I have eyes, I have ears, I have senses. Okay, so the senses may deceive us. They are imperfect senses. Anyone has perfect eyes? You can see what's happening next door. You look into the sky and the airplane is going and disappears. Does it disappear? No, our eyes can no longer perceive it. Okay? Maybe you can read my lips. But because our senses cannot hear everything, we tend to be illusioned. We make mistakes. But beyond that, how we can understand something that is beyond our realm of understanding. Right? So, if you want to know something that happened 100 years ago, how you can know? Huh? Yeah.
Someone who was present at that time.
Someone who was present at that time can tell you. Otherwise, do you have any hope to know for sure? If you wanted to know how this building was constructed 100 years ago, you can look at it, you can analyze it, but at best, it is only a guess. Because you weren't there. You were not there. I was not there. But if somebody documented it, took some pictures, showed the plans, how it was built, and put it into the library, then you would know. Right? So how we can know about this universe? Anybody was here when it was created? Anybody has seen the whole universe? Nobody? No. Me neither. So how to know about it? Is it hopeless? Do we have then no chance to know? Krishna, he knows. How does Krishna know? He's the creator.
He knows future, present, past.
He knows everything. Up, down, left, right, future, present, and past. He knows it all. So, he has the knowledge. Does anybody else have the knowledge? Independently, I should at least ask. Anybody else has complete knowledge independently? How about Lord Brahma? He's the creator of the universe. Does he have the knowledge? How he got the knowledge? Krishna. Brahma Vidyānidhi Kavaye. Brahma, knowledge was imparted into his heart by Krishna. And then he was able to impart into all of the different sages. And like that it carried on. But it has to start from Krishna. Everything else is just a guess. So when we say that, this material world is a place of misery, well, we can argue, no, that's not true. Hawaii is really nice. If I had this, that, and the other, that's nice. But we only know what we see here. Krishna is speaking from a complete perspective. He has seen all the places. He only created this material world. And so he can speak with definitiveness. So, this knowledge that we need to obtain the eternal life of peace and happiness, it only comes from one place. And that is from Krishna. It doesn't come from here. It doesn't come from here. Until our ego, which is as big as this universe, at least speaking for myself, accepts that fact, we have our free will to go explore on our own. But it is a total waste of time. Billions and billions of dollars and millions of hours are spent researching things that will yield no value. It is all given in Shastra. So, Krishna is the source of all knowledge. All knowledge. And so how do we get it now? We know through parampara. So disciplic succession is the means by which knowledge comes from the source and is handed down generation to generation to generation to generation. And if that knowledge is untainted, meaning no subsequent generation from Krishna adds anything to the information, nor subtracts anything. Both is important. Cannot add or subtract. Then the message remains complete. So Krishna, speaking to Arjuna 5,000 years ago, if we hear that conversation through disciplic succession, then we have the exact same opportunity as Arjuna did. We can say, oh, Arjuna was fortunate. He could hear Bhagavad Gita from Krishna himself. We are not so fortunate. That is not true. There is no difference. Absolutely no difference. If we are hearing from a bona fide disciplic succession. But unfortunately, as Prabhupada comments, there are many unscrupulous versions of this conversation that come out of bona fide disciplic succession. So people take the conversation and then they add their own ideas and interpretations. Either for some selfish motives or maybe out of just an innocent attempt. But it is not innocent because it is the incorrect way to represent something. If I tell you something and I say, you please tell that message to the next person. Now, if you take that message and you tell something different, that is disrespectful, right? That is not carrying your part of the bargain. But if you tell exactly as it is, and that person tells this can survive forever. And the message remains intact. So, Krishna says, when that chain is broken, what happens to all of us? Are we stuck? He will re-establish that chain. And that is why he re-spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago. In the first verse of this chapter, he said, I spoke it millions of years ago. So what is the point of re-speaking it? Because that disciplic succession was lost. So what is the significance of this Bhagavad Gita? What is significant about this Bhagavad Gita?
The last point is, it is under the disciplic succession.
And how do we know that?
We know the Guru Parampara.
And where do we see the Guru Parampara?
In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita.
On page 30. On page 30, Prabhupada has established where this Bhagavad Gita is coming from. In current day, you are required by law to cite any material you reference from somebody else. Otherwise, you can be sued for plagiarism. But in Vaishnava etiquette, no one takes credit for being the source of knowledge. This is the source of knowledge. How it is passed down from guru to disciple, guru to disciple, guru to disciple. And that is why Prabhupada presented it as it is. That's it. Every verse is presented with the original Sanskrit. Then the diacritic. And then the word-by-word translation. And then the sentence form structure. That is why this is the most distributed Bhagavad Gita in the world. Why? Because it is coming as it is, it has the potency, the effect to transform the heart. Without it coming from parampara, it will not transform the heart. It may provide some entertainment, some interesting thought-provoking ideas, but at the end of the day, it will yield no real benefit. But because this Bhagavad Gita that Srila Prabhupada is presenting is coming in disciplic succession, it carries with it the original, full, potent message that Krishna spoke to Arjuna. And that is what we are the beneficiaries of. And Srila Prabhupada said, if it doesn't come in disciplic succession, what is the value of reading the Bhagavad Gita? What does he say?
It's simply a waste of
Simply a waste of time. Waste of time. Actually, the whole world is going around and doing waste of time. Think of society around simply trying to pass time. Make the time between birth and death go as quickly and smoothly as possible. Not quickly in time, but past boredom. Jumping from one activity to the other. But what real value is being accomplished in the passage of time? Hard to hear. Hard to digest. But the facts. So, but Prabhupada says, the Bhagavad Gita presented as it is, what is that? How does he characterize that?
A great boon to humanity.
A great boon to humanity. Why? Why is it a great boon to humanity?
It will transform the life of the human being how it's supposed to be.
And how is it supposed to be?
It's given in Bhagavad Gita. Becoming a devotee of Krishna. That is.
Imagine a world in which everyone's senses were controlled. Would there be any stealing? Would there be any pollution? Global warming? Imagine a world in which everyone understood Ishavastyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagatena taktena bunjitaha margadaha kashasvidinam. Everything is Krishna's. And I have my quota to use. Imagine a world like that. Would there be any war? Would there be any fighting over resources? This is my land, this is your land. Everyone would know it was Krishna's land. Imagine a world in which everyone understood themselves to be part and parcel of Krishna. Would there be any need for police officers? Border security? Big missiles and... Would there be any food shortages? Everyone understood. I have my plot of land, 2 cows, small house, no shortage of land. What could be a greater boon to humanity? Forget about each individual being able to go back home, back to Godhead. Just think about the existence here. How sweet it would be. How nice and palatable it would be. To not have to lock the doors at night. Not have to worry about who is going to come and, commit the next heinous crime in a school or in a shopping mall or a bomb or whatever. No. That is what the Bhagavad Gita has the potential to deliver. It is all there. If we take it as it is. So, this knowledge must come in disciplic succession. It must come from Guru Parampara. And the demoniac mentality of taking the Bhagavad Gita and twisting its meaning is completely wasted effort and very dangerous for us. If we hear knowledge outside of disciplic succession, it is very dangerous. Because someone may say something very interesting, but how we know if it's right or wrong? We don't have the intelligence to know. If somebody says that the universe is like this, how we can know yes or no? We don't know. So it's very important that we take knowledge from disciplic succession. And when we do, we are hearing directly from Krishna. And that is what Prabhupada has given us. Now, this next verse is equally important. What is our qualification to receive this knowledge? Now that this Guru Parampara is present with us, right in front of us. Now, what is our responsibility and opportunity to receive this knowledge? Because the knowledge is available to everyone. But we must do something to take it. So Krishna says, someone wants to read the third verse?
Sa evaṁ māyatedya yoga protha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhas cheti rahasyam hai etat uttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. What?
Yeah.
There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. A commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna, and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
So what is Arjuna's qualification to receive this knowledge?
He's devotee of
Devotee of
Krishna
the Lord.
Devotee
and friend.
Great friend.
and friend. Two qualifications, right? And what knowledge is being disseminated to Arjuna?
The relationship with Supreme.
The relationship with the Supreme. And how widely understood is this relationship with the Supreme? What does Krishna say?
Transcendental secret.
It is a transcendental secret or mystery. It's very interesting. So, if you have some confidential information, who you will tell it to?
Your loved ones.
Your loved ones, your friends, someone who is friendly with you. You'll tell your enemy your bank account password? No. not even friends. That is the relationships in Kali Yuga. Because we have tendency for atyahara. We'll come to that later. So, the qualification for Arjuna is he is interested in devotion. He is a devotee. What does devotion mean? Devotion to? Krishna. And why devotion to Krishna? He is the supreme, and we are part and parcel. That is the relationship. So this relationship between us and Krishna is confidential, actually. There are 3 levels of confidential knowledge explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The first level is the confidential nature of the soul. And then the next is this nature of the relationship of the soul in devotional service. So, this relationship with Krishna, in order for us to understand it, we must become friendly with Krishna. Prabhupada comments in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita that in order to understand this science of Bhagavad Gita, you must approach the Bhagavad Gita in a certain spirit. Anybody remembers in what spirit? He says you must approach the Bhagavad Gita in the spirit of surrender. Yeah, that's... He doesn't use the word surrender, but surrender is also very appropriate. He says in the spirit of devotion, which is implied through surrender. So we can say there. And Prabhupada likens it to, if you have a bottle of honey, you can lick the outside of the bottle. You are so close to the honey, separated by a small amount of glass. But will you taste the honey? How about if you lick for 100 years and not taste the honey? Though you are so close to it. You may have the Bhagavad Gita in your hands. You may read the Bhagavad Gita. But if your spirit is not of devotion, it is like licking the outside of the bottle of honey trying to taste the nectar. In order to taste the nectar of the Bhagavad Gita, one must have a spirit of devotion, a spirit of surrender. If I have a spirit of, I want to be God, I want to be the controller, then how I can read the Bhagavad Gita? At least how I can read the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because Krishna says repeatedly, you are not the doer. Everything is happening by my will. I am forcing everyone through the energy of time. Time I am. He's constantly telling us. So if I don't want to accept Krishna as the Supreme, and I want to discuss Bhagavad Gita, then what do I have to do to Krishna's message?
Change.
I have to change it. I have to. If I present Krishna's message as it is, yet I want to think I am the Supreme, or I can become the Supreme, or I can merge into the Supreme, then whatever Krishna is saying is completely opposite to what I want to say. So then what do I have to do? I have to take the Bhagavad Gita, so-called, and present it in a different light. So, we may see many Bhagavad Gitas out there. We have to be careful. Which one is right? Which one has the right spirit of devotion? Prabhupada says, some of them have commentaries by devotees. And some of them have commentaries by demons. Now Prabhupada starts this whole purport with 2 classes of men.
And a demon.
Wow, really? Actually, Krishna says that also. Coming up later in the Bhagavad Gita, he'll say, there is the divine and the demoniac. Either you follow Shastra or you don't. There is no in between. There may be different grades of demons, nicer demons and more ferocious demons. But either you're following or you're not. That's the choice we have. So, Arjuna is getting this supreme science, this transcendental mystery, by the fact of him being friendly to Krishna and being his devotee. So we will understand this Bhagavad Gita only to the extent we have a spirit of devotion. We can academically try to study this Bhagavad Gita, but if we are not practicing devotional service, it will not enter the heart. It will not manifest. So the best way to understand this Bhagavad Gita, what is the best way to understand this Bhagavad Gita? What is the best thing we can do to increase our understanding of this Bhagavad Gita?
Sadhu Sangha.
Sadhu Sangha, association.
Listening from the mouth of who is a devotee of Krishna.
Listening from the devotee of Krishna. Okay? Any other?
With the surrender mood.
In a surrendered mood.
Coming to a conclusion that I don't know.
Coming to the conclusion, I don't know.
And
That is
approaching
critical.
Who knows through the param-tapa.
Approaching through. Okay.
If
All
we
right.
have-
Faith. All of everything you said. What will enhance all of that?
Love for Krishna.
How I'll find love for Krishna? How I'll awaken love for Krishna? Not find, yeah.
by chanting.
Chant. What do we have to do?
Chant.
What do we have to do?
Chanting.
By good chanting, the heart will become prepared to receive this knowledge. Then this knowledge will really transform the heart. Sometimes they ask people, start chanting. I have to finish understanding Bhagavad Gita, then I'll chant. You cannot understand Bhagavad Gita without practicing devotional service. And the best means of practicing devotional service is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Because it doesn't take any academic knowledge. I don't have to have understood 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita to chant. Maybe to build my faith in chanting, I need to acquire some more knowledge. But the process of chanting can be done at the initial stages. And the more we chant, the more this knowledge will penetrate the heart. And the more this knowledge penetrates the heart, what will be the result of that knowledge? The more we will chant. Acquiring all of this information we are acquiring is for the singular purpose of bringing us to the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord in pure love of devotion. That is it. To develop our faith in the chanting of the holy names, we study this knowledge. That is the ultimate end goal. So we should approach this reading. I am not chanting my rounds so nicely. I don't have faith in the holy names. Let me read from Bhagavad Gita to make my chanting more enthusiastic, to increase my attachment to chanting. If we approach the Bhagavad Gita, that means our understanding will increase and our chanting will increase in quality. That is the stark reality. And Krishna says here that the mystery of this science, this spirituality is a science. It is exacting in what it is. It is put together step by step with perfect logic. Not logic our own minds can concoct, but logic as presented by Krishna. Everything is put together. And so if we approach it with this mood, we'll be successful. And if we don't accept the Lord for who He is, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are left with the demoniac view of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's a very black and white situation we are in. And so Arjuna now will present some questions in next week's next verse. How did you speak about this, who's the Vivaswan who's older than you? And Krishna is going to speak several verses to show us the difference between he and us, so that we don't ever confuse this idea. Two things. One, that we can become God. And two, we never confuse the idea that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not a co-position he occupies with anyone else. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything else emanates. He is Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. He is the Supreme Controller. He is the source of everything and the cause of all causes. That is Krishna as He is. And He'll try to help us understand that. And He'll say in the 9th verse of this chapter, one who understands that is eligible for liberation. Just knowing how I appear in this world and my activities makes one eligible to go back home. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any comments, questions, discussion?
I have one comment related to the question.
Yes.
In your previous classes, you said the soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Chit is like complete knowledge. Soul knows the knowledge. So how is that like our soul knows the Bhagavad Gita? Do we have that knowledge inside? How is that road?
It's a perfect question to my point around chanting and the Bhagavad Gita and the chanting, that cycle. You brought it right to the essence of it. This knowledge is residing within all of us. As you said, the soul is made up of Chit potency. Sat, eternal, Chit, knowledge, Ananda, bliss. These three things are the ingredients of the soul. We come from Krishna. Wait a minute, if Krishna is a source of knowledge, then how I as soul, part and parcel of Him, cannot have knowledge? Of course then, I must be full of knowledge also. But that knowledge is covered. That knowledge is covered. So we have to uncover it, dig it out. The soul is covered. So how do we dig it out? How do we uncover the soul from its contamination? Chanting. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This has the most potent means to remove the debris. Just like if I have a dirty glass, I can wash it with some water. I can wash it with some clay. I can wash it with some soap. I can wash it with some bleach. There are different levels of cleaning agents. What is the most powerful cleansing agent? It is this chanting of the holy names. Ceto darpana marjanam. Cleanses the mirror of the heart. So the chanting is what? brings out this knowledge. But how do I develop faith in chanting? How do I know it's going to work? Well, maybe I have to read a little bit. So when I read, if I read the Bhagavad Gita and read Shastra and I don't come to chanting, then I haven't come to the essence of it. Because the reading itself won't cleanse the heart. What is going to cleanse the heart? Chanting. So acquiring all this knowledge, if it doesn't result in chanting the holy names of the Lord, then the purification will not really happen. Because Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam kalo nashteva 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 gatirnyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way for deliverance. Then, chanting of the holy names, chanting of the holy names, chanting of the holy names. 3 times it said, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama. And then, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva. Don't think there's another way. So the connection is, the soul has all of this knowledge. As you said nicely, it is chit, full of knowledge. But it is covered. So we must uncover it. The uncovering process is chanting of the holy names. How to develop faith in chanting of the holy names? Reading Shastra, associating with devotees, honoring prasadam, rendering service. All the different angas of bhakti help bring us to the point of pure chanting of the holy names. This pure state. There are 3 levels of chanting. The offensive stage of chanting the holy names of the Lord. The stage in which we are minimizing the offenses of chanting. And then the pure chanting of the holy names. When we have achieved that, it's perfection. If you have a taste for chanting the holy names and you're chanting in the pure form, you already understood Bhagavad Gita. Because that chit potency is already coming out. Remember the illiterate Brahmana. Did he read Bhagavad Gita? But he understood it. So that is the connection. This knowledge is here, we are just bringing it out. And the bringing out process is by chanting. We can have so much association in reading this, but if it doesn't result in chanting, we will not move forward in a meaningful way. It's okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, like, okay, so you are saying that Harinam, Harinam, eva kevalam. So why only Hare Krishna? Why only Hare Krishna chanting, but not some other gods?
Why only Hare Krishna mantra? There are many mantras. There are millions of mantras that are given. So you can choose any mantra you want to choose. But any decision you make, which phone I'll buy, which car I'll buy, how I'll go from here to India. You can ride your bicycle. You could. You could row a boat. You could ride a steamship. You could fly a plane. You could fly first class. You could fly first class direct. So which you'll choose?
Easiest.
Easiest and fastest, comfortable, most efficient, cost effective, everything. All the variables, then you'll choose. Right?
Not in a danger falling over
Yes. So how you'll choose which mantra you're going to chant? Huh?
That's the question.
No, I just asked you, wait, how you'll choose which mantra to chant?
The most
Easy.
efficient.
The most
Powerful.
efficient, most powerful, most
Where can we reach Krishna the fast?
The fastest, we can reach our destination fastest, right?
Bang for the buck. Bang for the buck.
Biggest bang for the buck, biggest ROI, return on investment. I have limited investment time with Krishna, so I want the biggest bang for my buck. Right? That's how you're going to pick your mantra? Okay, good. That's how I pick my mantra too. That's how we all pick our mantra. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna. And what was his mission?
Spread the whole.
What was his mission?
Show us how to be a devotee.
So that we can awaken our love of God. His mission was to give Krishna prema. Mahavadanaya Krishna prema pradayate. To give Krishna prema to everyone. And how he was giving it? Liberally, generously. Mahavadanaya. Anyone and everyone. So he was giving it broadly. Not just to a certain class or certain class, to broad. So now, how he gave Krishna prema, what tool he gave to give them. What did he say? You just said it earlier. Chant. And what did he say to chant?
Right.
Sri Krishna Sankirtana.
And what mantra he said to chant? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He gave any other mantra to chant? Why not? Why not?
He knows what is best.
He knows what is best. He knows what is most efficient. He knows what we want. We want the biggest bang for the buck. And he gave that because he is most merciful. He gave the most potent mantra with the simplest process. Anytime, any place, he said. You can chant the holy, no rules. Anytime, any place, you can chant. Any one. But he didn't say you chant any mantra. He knew all mantras. But he engaged those he loved in chanting the Maha Mantra. Why the Maha Mantra? Because it is called Maha Mantra, which means the potency of all other mantras are included within the chanting of the Maha Mantra. So by chanting one mantra, we're getting the potency of all mantras. It is not that we are ignoring all other mantras. There's so many other mantras. First mantra of Srimad Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So many mantras are there. But the Maha Mantra contains the potency of all mantras. And in the Kali Shantarana Upanishad, the history, the detail of this mantra is given. In this Upanishad is a conversation between Lord Brahma and Nārada ji. And Nārada Muni is lamenting. His mission is to preach, to save the fallen souls. And as he sees Kali Yuga coming, he is thinking, what kind of condition is developing here? Kali Yuga had not even come. Dwapara Yuga was just ending. And already things were degrading so much. He said it is hopeless. No one will be delivered. Everybody will be going into a pool of suffering. And his heart was broken. So he goes to Brahma ji and says, what to do? And Lord Brahma said, don't worry. In this age, a special mantra is there, will be propagated. And that mantra has 32 syllables. And it has the potency to cover the 32 layers of illusion. And that mantra will be manifested. So why this mantra? Because it is the Mahamantra, the most potent, biggest bank. You can chant any mantras. You can ride your bicycle to India. It's your choice. Free will. We all have choice. Why this mantra? It's okay?
One more question. So, the first is Shraddha, then Satsanga, Bhajan, some series is there. So Shraddha means faith, right? But faith, how can I develop faith without the following thing? So just kind of the sequence.
Yeah. So faith, it's 9 steps from where we are to Krishna Prema. Is what you're referring to, the sequence. And we have Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti. We'll stop there for the moment being. So, faith, when we say Shraddha, some faith to then begin to associate with devotees. Okay? It takes some faith to sacrifice your time somewhere else to use your time here. Right? It takes some faith. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. Doesn't mean you have full faith in Krishna, but that sadhu sangha is increasing your faith. Right? With increased faith and increased association, then you practice bhajana kriya, the practice of bhakti. The practice of bhakti will increase your association and increase your faith. The practice of bhakti, the bhajana kriya, will then lead to anartha nivriti, the cleansing of the heart. All of the contaminations of the heart will nivriti, go away. All my anarthas, unwanted things, will be gone. And that continues, right? So the faith is the initial step required to start. Right? You've been chanting Mahamantra for how long?
Maybe 2 years.
2 years now? And you asked the question, why this mantra? You had some faith in the mantra though, and you're chanting it, right? And that question will arise again in the future also. Or maybe not. But along the way, because of some faith, you began. Right? Like that. Doesn't mean though you have full fixed faith. When we enter the realm of pure devotional service, that means our faith is full. Why? When I'm pure devotional service, it means I do nothing else. In order to abandon all other activities, I have to have faith. It's okay?
And to follow that one, right? So everyone is having Krishna in their mind, but not Krishna conscious. So, I don't know how I'm putting the question correctly. Because everyone knows Krishna as a God.
Well, let me correct that one thing first. When we say everyone, many people know the name Krishna, but they don't know who Krishna is.
Yeah.
I can say most don't know who he actually is. They consider him, as you said, I'm just using your words, as a God. He is not as a God. He is the God. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is it. That is who he is. Now, how many know that? He says, 7th chapter, there is no truth superior to me. Him being Supreme Personality of Godhead is not a matter of opinion of one guru or another. That is a matter of the opinion of Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In 15th chapter, what is the name of the 15th chapter? Yes, pull it up.
The yoga of the Supreme Person.
Yoga of the Supreme Person. So now finish your question. Sorry. There's another question.
Prabhupada, one simple question. I don't know whether if someone tells, I don't know whether to believe them. If you read Bhagavatam, see, our aim is to liberate through Harinama chanting or through reading the God Leela's pastimes. If you read the Bhagavatam attentively, they will say that you will be liberated. Then we can follow that path. Then we have to have the chanting also.
Who said that?
That's what I cannot say. People names. That's what someone said. I don't know whether to believe or not.
Forget about the person who said it. Who said that in Shastra?
Nārada. I don't know exactly. Because Nārada insisted that you have to do the satsanga with the Bhagavatas. That's why he got liberated. He served the Bhagavatas.
He served the devotees.
In Bhagavatam, starting first 10 pages, it said.
Yeah, he served the devotees.
Yes.
Bhagavat is two, book and person. He was rendering service. But Krishna says how to come to me. What does he say? Anta kalecha mameva smaram muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasati samshaya. If at the end of his life you remember me, then you will attain me. So if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, but at the end of your life you are remembering Somerset Maugham, you will not attain him. Krishna gives the formula how to attain him. We have to remember Krishna. So what does reading Srimad Bhagavatam do? Srimad Bhagavatam is the most ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. It is so sweet. By reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll never want to forget Krishna. He's so sweet, so wonderful. So that is the benefit of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Not to attain liberation. It is not a mechanical process. Don't turn this into a mechanical process. If I do this, this will happen. It is a process of the heart, loving Krishna. What is the value of liberation? Going to Krishna, if you don't have love for him, you'll come right back. Why? Because nobody will love us. They'll only love Krishna. If you don't love Krishna, better you stay here. Because here at least someone else will pay you some attention. In the spiritual world, everyone is focused on pleasing Krishna. And we'll be saying, what about me? What about me? So the goal is not liberation. The goal is awakening love of Krishna so that we may render service to Krishna. And I want to go back home to Godhead so I may serve Krishna uninterruptedly. Understand the distinction? The goal is awakening my love for Krishna so that I may be eternally engaged in his service. And going back home to Godhead is the place in which we can serve Krishna with the most enthusiasm, so wonderfully. Because if our desire is only to go back home to Godhead, but we forget the loving Krishna part, what's the point?
And the liberation, I have one more following question. See, because we are doing chanting to develop love with the surrender mode. Once we go Goloka, so we will be doing the service or surrender mode. So what about the people who liberated like Kamsa, who killed by him? Because he don't have any surrender mode. So he will go to the same planet, or he will, because he also liberating those people who is against God.
So there are different realms within even the spiritual world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the destination of the highest realm. They're all absolute in one sense, because they're all perfect. but from an objective standpoint, there are different realms. And in Brihad Bhagavatam Rita, written by Sanatana Goswami, you can read, and it explains Gop Kumar's journey. First through all the higher planetary systems of the material world, then he crosses the Viraja river and enters into the different planets of Vaikuntha, and he is making his progress. Ultimately, he reaches Goloka Vrindavan. So, the chanting of the holy names and following the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us entry into Goloka Vrindavan, which is like the center. The spiritual world is considered like a lotus, and the world, the center of the lotus is Goloka, and that is where Krishna resides. Krishna doesn't reside even in Vaikuntha. He is present in his Narayan form, but not in his two-armed form. That he is only present in Goloka. So awakening love for Krishna will take us to Krishna. So the various demons and other personalities who had the great blessing of being killed by Krishna, they can enter different stages of liberation. There are 5 different stages of liberation. There is the merging, living on the same planet, living at the same opulence, the same form, this in a personal association, like that. But so they entered based on their consciousness different levels of that. So it's different destination than the pure devotee.
It's not the same level.
Not the same level. No. But they can continue to purify and go forward. It's okay? Not that you had a question?
No, probably like a lot of people think this book is an output of Mahabharata story. So they are not, I don't know, maybe they are not seeing this like a Vedas. Vedas means like there's different, like for example, different slokams, like Panshrishottam, like that. Like this is not been read. So why it is like that? How to understand that?
Well, is a Gita Upanishad. It is not an output of Mahabharata. Why? Read just the prior verse. This was spoken before Mahabharata, millions of years ago. This is not a story coming from Mahabharata. The whole Mahabharata was scripted for the purpose of Krishna to re-speak Bhagavad Gita. The whole Mahabharata was bringing our attention to this epic. But it is explained that those who cannot study the Shastras, there are various story pastimes to bring us closer in our study of Shastra. One of these great epics. But the Bhagavad Gita is the Gita Upanishad. And remember what Lord Shiva said, Ekam Shastram. In his Gita Mahatmya, he says, let there be one Shastra the whole world reads. Ekam Shastram, he says. And what is that Ekam Shastram? Because it is considered the condensed essence. He says, Lord Shiva says, that if the cow is the Vedas, what is the essence of a cow? Milk. He says this Bhagavad Gita is the milk of the entire Vedas. And Krishna is the cowherd boy. And Arjuna is the calf. I don't remember the verse in Sanskrit, but he composed a very beautiful verse in Sanskrit, saying that this Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So, yeah, people can say, but that is the fact. That is the... It's okay. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, Roji, my
Please.
question may sound silly.
No,
But I just want to know what's the difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Because in our all old stories, if you see, most of these demigods, Indra, Brahma, they used to go to Vishnu and ask for help. Go to Mother Earth and say. So why they never went to Krishna?
Well, one reason they never went is because they cannot go. If you want the utter truth. So the Vishnu you see that they're going to is Shirodakshai Vishnu, located on Shvetadvip, within the material world. That's where they go, and you notice if you see, they stand on the banks of the shore, and then Vishnu comes on an Antashesh. That is Shirodakshai Vishnu. Then you have Karandakshay Vishnu. Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who is laying at the base of the material creation from which everything is emanating, from his navel. There's a lotus stem. And then, that's within one. Then you have Karandakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu, from who all the universes are emanating. So you have there are many different forms of Vishnu. There's one Krishna. And who is the source? Krishna is in his original form. And then he has many expansions. And one of his expansions are all the different forms of Vishnu. I'm cutting the technical part short because there's some technical steps in between that. So who is Krishna? Who is Vishnu? So they are one and the same. But the example is like this. Prabhupada gives the example of the high court judge. A judge, when he's in the courtroom, he has a very formal means of interacting with everyone. He has a job. He is sitting on a high bench. Everybody speaks to him as Your Honor or Majesty. And there's a very formal etiquette of interaction between the judge and everyone else. That is like Lord Vishnu. He has a very grand appearance. He has a very formal form of interaction. But when that judge at the end of the day goes home, takes off the robe, takes off the hat, and goes home, child is saying, give me a piggyback ride, and friends are sitting on the sofa and joking with each other. They're having dinner. There's a very intimate, personal relationship. There is no more formality. They joke with each other. There's a very intimate relationship. That judge is the same person, right? But he's exhibiting a different mood in home versus. So what is the more complete aspect of that judge? In the office or at home? Home. So Krishna is at home in Goloka Vrindavan. That is his ultimate form. And he displays 64 qualities. I shouldn't say 60. He has 64 these qualities. There are unlimited qualities. But he has 64 that we can talk about. Vishnu has 60. Lord Shiva has 55. And the living entities from Lord Brahma down have 50. So they're like, this. So Krishna and Vishnu, they're one and the same because Vishnu is an expansion from Krishna. But the mood, Vishnu is showing a subset of the qualities. So when you have a relationship with Vishnu, it's very sweet. Very nice. You have a relationship with Krishna, there's more to the relationship. But it's not, I worship Vishnu, you worship Krishna. We're just worshiping the same person in different moods, in different levels of intimacy. One is with awe and reverence. So Vishnu is worshipped with awe and reverence. Krishna is worshipped with no awe and reverence. It's pure love. So the relationship is more complete, you can say, more intense in awe and reverence. Who has a deeper relationship with that judge? His friend in the home or some worker in the courtroom? Friend in the home. So Krishna has friends in Goloka Vrindavan. He has servants. He has mother, father. He has lovers. Like this, he has 5 different relationships in Goloka Vrindavan. It's okay? Yeah. So we should also be very careful. We are Krishna Bhaktas. Oh, I don't worship Lord Vishnu. That is stupidity. Because they're the same person, but in a different mood. It's very offensive. So also don't make that mistake. Don't mistake Vishnu to be supreme also. Because Krishna is here in 11th chapter. Krishna will show his universal form. Then he'll show his forearm form. And then he says, I am showing you now my original form. Okay? So we should have clarity on both sides. It's okay? Yeah. Nice question. Anything else?
Sometimes I feel this is the highest science. With the contamination in the mind, am I eligible to understand, question all these things? Because of this hierarchy, high or low, what happens is like, okay, isn't it offensive or childish? Like if we get an opportunity to go past the Vishnu temple, all this like, okay, oh, I'm Krishna devotee, this is Vishnu devotee, and not being respectful. Rather than it's opportunity to remember Krishna in the Vishnu temple. Oh, Krishna, you are in this service.
Yeah, because in that example, how you can love the judge at home if you don't respect him in the office? You can't.
Yeah.
You cannot. Yeah. You cannot. So we should not create, as you're saying, this hierarchy. You know, or the same thing happens with demigods.
Yeah.
You know, these are very intimate servants to Krishna. So we should not. If you truly love Krishna, this sentiment will not happen. Yeah. If you really understand bhakti, this sentiment will not happen. But if we don't understand, and we should also understand that everybody has a certain desire. Some may desire to worship Lord Vishnu. They enjoy that. That is great. They're fully satisfied. They don't think they're missing something. And Gopkumar and Brihad Bhagavatamrita sees that. He sees that everybody is so lovingly, and so he hides his sense of incompleteness. Why does he hide it? Because he doesn't want to convey to somebody else that they are missing something. He doesn't want to disturb their perfection. That is the mood of a devotee. That is the mood. So he hides his incompleteness. But Krishna knows and says, you keep going. You'll not be happy here. Vishnu says, you keep going. Lord Ram, all this goes until he reaches Krishna. Right? So we have to study and follow our past acharyas to see. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he goes to all these places, first he would go to the Lord Shiva temple and take darshan as the protector of Dham. Lord Shiva has taken that seva in so many holy places. Now what? What are we supposed to do? So we follow. We see how our acharyas have behaved and we try to follow in their footsteps. That is the success of bhakti. Don't let our own mental concoctions drive us. But it's a nice point because that can manifest, and actually it often manifests, but we have to resist that.
The mystery science, Krishna said that this is a mystery science, right? Is it mystery even in Satyuga and other yugas, or was it mystery only during just before Kali Yuga?
No, the relationship with Krishna is very confidential. but it's less confidential there, meaning more people are aware of it. So the mystery is less, it's a more known science. So to some degree you can say it's less of a mystery. But it's still a confidential aspect because it is of a relationship between two people who are very close, right? The devotee and Krishna. So, but the aspects of deep bhakti is actually a mystery even in Satyuga. And
it's not like I'm not able to understand. Like Satyuga is like supposed to have like all this pious people,
Very
being
pious.
a good devotee and
very good devotees.
everything, right?
Very good devotees.
Without having a full knowledge of
But
Bhagavad Gita.
yes, that is the thing. So like in Satyuga, there's a reference in Bhagavatam that some of the devatas are speaking and they wish to take birth as humans in Kali Yuga. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this Krishna bhakti to awaken Krishna prema. That is very rarely achieved, even in Satyuga. In Satyuga, the bhakti is there, but this Krishna bhakti in the mood of pure love of God is very rarely achieved. And that is our great fortune, to have the opportunity to follow the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because that is not so widely explained, even in the prior yugas. So in the prior yugas, people are very quickly making advancement towards Vaikuntha and things in that realm. But this aspect is very, very unique.
Even to get to Vaikuntha, like they need to understand the relationship with Supreme.
Yeah.
But that's what Krishna has mentioned in this verse, saying that this is a mystery science because I'm giving you knowledge about relationship with Supreme.
But it's a mystery to those who are not devotees or friends, right? It's only a mystery to those who are not. So the proportion of people who are not in Satyuga is very small. So in that sense, you can say it's very widely known. But it's still a mystery to anyone who is not a devotee of Krishna or friendly to Krishna. Right? So I think the point you're trying to make is it's fair is that it's less of a mystery then than it is today. But it's still overall, it's reserved only for those who have a friendly relationship with Krishna, that knowledge.
So if there is a friendly relationship with Krishna, this knowledge will be revealed automatically.
Yeah, you're a devotee. Right? At that point, you're a devotee. That point, your chit potency is alive.
Well, I have a follow-up question on that. Like, unless you get this knowledge, you cannot be friend. Because first, in order for you to become friendly with somebody, you need to know that person.
Yeah.
So, how would that happen?
By the mercy of devotees. By the mercy of devotees, this is explained very exactingly in Nectar of Devotion, how our bhakti starts. And there's some Agna Sukriti is said, some prior pious credits that can bring us to devotional service. But then it is the practice that leads to, the faith that leads to more practice. It's a cycle, but how to start that cycle, it begins with that. And the message of the pure devotees of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada, traveled the world to bring those to who are undeserving. He brought them the pious credits they needed to be able to understand it. Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, we did nothing pious previously to receive this, so how are we happy? And he said, I brought it to you. He wasn't speaking out of ego, he was speaking out of fact. So the pure devotees, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was giving it to even Jagai and Madai. The world today is full of Jagai and Madais. So if they were delivered then, we can be delivered now. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
When we chant, does it have any effect on our family members?
Yeah. By you becoming a devotee, your whole family is benefited. Krishna doesn't see that, oh, you become my devotee, then you are liberated. He tells Prahlad Maharaj 21 generations prior and 21 generations forward. So what better benefit we can give to our family than ourselves becoming devotee? Now how many generations is explained is based on the purity of our bhakti. So, but yeah, the family is benefited. And in the Grahastha ashram, whatever the husband does, 50% goes to wife and kids. So 50% of your chanting goes to Mataji.
I have to be perfect. But Mataji, if she does anything comes.
No. Whatever Mataji she keeps.
See.
Only have to chant 8 rounds.
Huh?
Our parents and in-laws, they different.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It is the main duty as a child is to deliver the mother and father. That is our main responsibility. We must deliver. And if they'll not chant, we'll chant for them. So powerful is chanting. So powerful. Yes, our family is benefited. Just maintain nice, peaceful relationships. Don't make them angry at Krishna by our own bhakti. It's very important. Because sometimes in our enthusiasm to get them to practice, we can turn them off. If they're not taking, make at least neutral. So that, because even if you chant, they'll have a decision to make. Their free will, they'll not be forced back to Krishna. So we don't want to make it a negative situation. But no, whatever you're doing in bhakti, your family is benefiting from it. Krishna doesn't give just you the credit. He says you are here because of your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents. Read 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th, 10th, 11th chapters. See very nice discussions.
Also, Prabhu, when we chant sincerely and if we transform with that chanting potency, when we chant, transform. By seeing that, the family members, get a faith more than us. Okay, he was like this, he become like this because of this. Okay, then slowly they don't try to follow our words. Especially the word will create the ego. You are saying, I will not do. But if they see the changes in our attitude, transformation, they will try to say, okay, let me also chant. Without saying, they will say, I'm chanting one round. I have seen this.
It's a beautiful experience you have, and it's so true. We lead by example. And we lead a life that inspires others to serve Krishna. That is our mission with our family and with society. They see the positive change, as you said, that will inspire them. Wow, this person used to be this angry, envy, this, greed. Something has gone. He must be hiding it in his bead bag.
It's not
I didn't
a
tell my mom
practical
to do any chanting, Prabhu, but when she came here, I
Yeah.
never told her.
Yeah.
But she started doing 1, 2, 3, now she reached 60.
Yeah.
I never told her.
Yeah.
I used to tell, but I never told her to do anything. I used to say, if she observes and she finds something nice, then she'll start by herself. Now she's doing 69.
Really?
Wow.
Oh,
Last
wonderful.
2 days that she told me.
Earlier she was doing that other devatas puja more. That's why she was not convinced Krishna. Now she changed entirely. She's doing 16 rounds.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that. That is an amazing story. That is very wonderful. That is the purity of the holy names. You're asking why the Mahamantra. Now you know. This is the kind of power it has. to not only change our lives but those around us. Wow, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Keep encouraging her to chant. And as you said very nicely, they'll not listen to our words, but they'll see the actions. And we should be careful with our words.
What should I do? I'm doing that this. I didn't say anything.
See, but you took a very smart approach, because we have to be careful with our words. Our words can really create great harm, but our actions can create great faith if they are good actions.
Yeah, because we keep on telling we are doing this, that course. And she was right, somehow changed, I think. Otherwise, if you tell something, there's an elders, right? We cannot argue with them.
No, that's very nice. It was very nice. Anything else? Nice discussion today. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Vedanta Prabhu ki Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.